Hey, you! Me? Yeah, I'm new here and I was just wondering if you knew where I could get a VTuber song done. What do you mean? I thought those just popped up on my timeline out of thin air. No, silly, people make them. But I don't know the first thing about making it myself. Well, I don't know. Why don't you just pay someone to make it for you? That sounds like a good idea, but how do I know if I'm paying the right person? I don't know, dude. I'm just you but flipped horizontally. Stop right there. Is a lack of VTuber song knowledge getting you down? Well, that's okay. This video is here to fix all of your problems. Well, maybe only a couple of them, but that's good enough. The world of VTuber original songs is really not very transparent. With so many people to commission, so many jobs, and a lot of words you might have never heard of, it can be really confusing knowing where to get started, especially if you're new to music. So I took things into my own hands and decided to interview a VTuber songwriter. We discuss what it's like to be on both the production side and the client side, so everyone has a little bit of perspective on everything. And we took Q&A from the community to see what people's most pressing ideas and questions were. I've condensed the most important parts down into this video, but if you'd like to see the full version, just let me know and I'll try to get the VOD up somewhere. This also isn't the end of the Q&A. If anyone has any more questions, we can try and answer them in the comments, or I can invite Sharon for another Q&A. We'll see. For now, I hope you get to learn something from this, or it can just provide a little bit of entertainment. And thank you for watching. Oh, and by the way, all the music used in this stream is by Stream Cafe, so please go and check them out. Bye! Look, we picked Rainier up 30 minutes before the stream started.
I'm here now.
It's just a stowaway.
So I'm Shiro, but I am in the elephant mech. I do VTubing stuff as Nelly Forte, and I do mostly original song writing and production for VTubers and idols, like indie idols.
Yeah, I'm Rainier. I'm a very cool stick man. I play bass. I did some Utite stuff. Yeah, besides that, I haven't really done much. But I love music a lot, and I be doing some stuff sometimes. What, in your opinion, separates a good person to commission from a great person to commission? That's a very good question.
Ooh, that is meaty. Okay, because there's like a couple things to it, right? You want to know, one, is this person reliable? And two, are they actually gonna like take on board what you're saying? Like, do they have the is the skill level, but also like, are they bothered enough about what you want, or are they just gonna do what they want? They have like a narrow range. And I feel like if you're like able to talk with other people who've had experience with that person, did that person, when they were doing the commission for them, like, were they responsive with them? Did they ask them a lot of questions as well? Because I think that's kind of important. Like, sometimes I get like requests from people when they commission me, and it's difficult to know exactly what they want, because in terms of like music, sometimes people will send like a couple different genres of song, for example, and they might not be able to articulate what it actually is they want. They just know they want this feeling. And I think it's important when you get situations like that to be able to dig down and talk with the commissioner and like kind of do some detective work. But if you're talking to people and they're just like, oh yeah, I just sent them the playlist, I sent them the references, whatever, and then they just never like communicated back and just sent me whatever it was, and I didn't really get a chance to go back and forth with them, like, I think that tells you that person's not so bothered about doing something personal for that commissioner. Especially if it is something that's like a big project for you.
I feel like there are a couple like factors that are important, right? Like, for sure, communication is like the separator, though, I think, right? Because you can have someone that makes great art or a great song, but if they can't really convey the same message that you want, the entire talent is kind of wasted.
Like, it's a little bit difficult, I think, to maybe trust public reviews, and why I'd say you should talk to people who have, you know, like in private, that you've seen have commissioned that person before as well. But like, I mean, I gotta say, for me, you can look at my reviews. I think there's a theme with all of them being like on deadline, before deadline. It took all the ideas I had and Shura really did something creative that I wasn't expecting, but that I really felt like tied it all together. And I would like to think, I would hope if you see those kind of themes, if somebody does have public reviews and a big portfolio, you know what I mean, that that you should hopefully be able to put those pieces together, even if you don't feel brave enough to ask other people.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point actually, because reviews themselves don't mean anything, right? But if you actually get into the specifics of content of those reviews, then it can tell you a lot more.
Yeah, I agree.
May says, communication is so important for reliability too. I've had so many projects delayed by months because the person I commissioned won't respond to me for weeks. That's the worst.
I just don't know, how can people do that? I think somebody who is really great at what they do should be able to admit when either something's not working, or like before they take the commission on, if they know that that's not going to be something they can deliver, like whether it's a, you know, if it's a time frame they can't promise, or even just like this genre or this style or whatever it is isn't in my wheelhouse, and you know that you know, like whatever aspect of it is the client really wants. Probably for me, I would say things like if somebody was like a rock aficionado and what they really wanted was like a truly authentic sounding like massive wall of guitars, and it was those little details to them that was important, you know, especially if they were a guitarist themselves. I work with virtual guitars 99% of the time, and I don't know if I would, you know, like I feel like I probably wouldn't be able to deliver exactly what they want, and I would try and
Yeah.
help them find somebody else, like in that case.
I don't want to respond after 3 weeks and then show up. Might as well not say anything.
If that's something that's just happened the once to you, like as somebody who's delivering commissions, if you get like the worst flu ever, you know, you have some really legitimate reason why you've not responded to that person for 3 weeks. If that's something you do regularly, or like if you've got like 10 clients who you've ghosted for 3 weeks, I feel like that, you know, that to me is a red flag in itself, the fact that they won't even respond and like apologize.
Yeah, it can really
I think everybody who's commissioned people has a horror story.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Here is question 2.
What are some potential pitfalls that can happen when working on an original song? That's a very good question.
Ooh. Because, I mean, I guess there's like pitfalls between you and the client, but there's also pitfalls from my perspective in a work way.
I would answer both, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
both.
I think the communication thing, like when it comes to the client and the commissioner, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
I think like it does boil down to like the big pitfalls tend to be about communication. Where like I've had the thing where people have sent like multiple songs in really different genres, and it's not been clear what they actually want, but they can't articulate what it is about, you know, like what's the element from each of these songs that actually unifies them that they want. Like I've had other instances as well where it's not that the commission's been cancelled, but there might be things like a client is stuck on, I really want this particular thing, particular instrument, or what, you know, like it's some kind of specific thing they want, and it doesn't work musically. And being able to communicate with them to say like, there's a point at which you need to be able to say, I've tried this, like, and I've shown you all the different ways I've tried it, and it doesn't work, and we need to pick a way, like, we need to find a sort of middle ground here, rather than, like, just imposing, you know, your own will on them, or just, like, picking the thing that you know doesn't work, and that isn't going to be good for the song. I feel like those are the main pitfalls when it comes to, like, you and the client. For me, and it does all, you know, I think all that comes under the umbrella of communication. It depends who you are as a musician, I guess. I think for me, my thing is that I get really like perfectionist about stuff. Some of people say it, they're like, oh, you shouldn't be spending that long doing that, and I just kind of get lost in the sauce sometimes. That's why it happens. But there'll be other people, I'm sure, who would probably spend like an hour on a MIDI, you know, like that they aren't as interested in that, and that perhaps that's maybe something that is a pitfall for them, and I can hear that, you know, what they're going through in my head. But I sort of think like for some clients they might not be able to imagine it, and so it might look to them like that musician sent them, you know, like something like
Yeah.
to be quite crude about it, to something kind of lazy, you know, when actually that
Yeah.
person, you can hear what they're going for, but only because I have that kind of production mind. So I think that just depends on who you are as a person. Like for somebody else, their pitfall might be that they actually don't do enough polishing in the early stages to give a client the like the picture fully of what they're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like also because we're writing for other people who are singing, I think a pitfall that a lot of people tend to fall into that I think I'm okay with because I'm a vocalist. And I'm also like keenly aware of my own range, is that I think a lot of people don't write for the range and the strengths of the vocalist.
That's happened to me so
is
many
commissioning them.
times. But
Yeah.
I'm doing features. Everyone is writing the songs way too high. We're not always capable of insane acrobatics. I think asking is a really good one. I think being flexible. I think there's this idea that high notes sound good.
Yeah, like kind of doing the high notes for the sake of them. Even if you don't consider yourself a vocalist, I think it's important to be able to sing your own lyrics and like roughly sing the melody as well, just to kind of test it out before you give that to a vocalist. Everything comes back to communication, because you got to communicate with that person. If they feel comfortable enough to tell you actually doing that huge drop down from the really high note to the really low note is really difficult, or like
If you stop.
the vowels on this don't feel right. Yeah, true. But yeah, like I think you should be able to like get feedback from vocalists like while you're practicing. Maybe not from someone who's commissioning you, but like I think that's a big part of the process, is like you need to test it out yourself, and then maybe talk with some other vocalists as well, and like really do your research on that person too. Like often for me, I always ask like, what's the lowest note, the highest belting note somebody can do, and what's the like highest note overall.
Yeah.
And I try and reference, like, if I'm thinking of what their voice sounds like in my head, especially for those big moments, like when you want to do that big impressive high note, I think it's important to try and find them doing that high note somewhere else in what the videos they sent you of them singing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that you can really picture it, because it might be in a weird range for them. You're just thinking, like, if you're imagining what it's going to sound like, try and find as close to what it actually is going to sound like in their voice, if you can.
In the most elementary way possible, how are you able to tell that what you're making sounds objectively good? I feel like it's really easy to, like, be too partial toward oneself in the music process.
You need a propeller hat and a lollipop so badly.
Because you aren't going to see it totally objectively when you like any sort of art you're working on. You're seeing like the effort you put into it, and also like it's your own tastes, and you're writing for somebody else's tastes. Really, like they're commissioning you hopefully because they like what you do. So you should be able to incorporate some of your own tastes and preferences into it. But at the end of the day, you're sculpting it for them. If it can stay in your brain, and if it keeps coming back, if you can sleep on it, and then you come back to it, and you still remember it, and you still like it, then I think you have good grounds to say, right, this is a solid idea. I'm gonna carry on forward. But you work your creative muscles in that way. I think like I definitely found that at the beginning of when I was starting out with doing songwriting stuff, that like I would do a bunch of songs that I didn't like. I would get all these ideas that I didn't fully like, and more I'm just finding like I've worked out that creative muscle in my head, and that I'm getting more ideas that I like first time. So it's really interesting going through that process.
I think it's really interesting as well, in your question, May, that you said, I know that I can be partial to myself kind of feeling, because for me it's really weird. I'm the opposite. I'm really bad, and I will tell myself I can't speak. I will tell myself something is terrible when it's not, and then I'll take a few days to like come around to what I just did. Well, I think that's like, I think as a creative, you're either like terribly mean to yourself, or you're really, really confident in yourself. There doesn't seem to be like, we're always searching for that middle ground. I think that's a forever challenge.
But it's like figuring out which of those you tend to be as well. Like I think so much of that is the practice side of like you figure out your own habits in your own brain. Which way do you tend to lean, and like what helps you as well. It's vulnerable, like because it is you in some way. You're packaging your
soul.
It's your emotional expression, yeah. And it's vulnerable to share that.
Like Rainier Stickman. Really vulnerable of him to share him with us.
I think when it's like, I was so scared to like upload this and send this. Like,
No, you wouldn't. Do you want to know what he
It's when he
called the
was
file?
crying.
no.
Do you want to know what he called the file for the Stickman? Do you want to tell everyone what you named the file?
But there's like 3 files, because the first one I drew, which is like the prototype of this one, but it wasn't cut properly, was called Swag 1 because I have swag. We were just talking about how you need to be confident in yourself as a creative, right? And like,
Yeah, this is very toxic
Kinda
to now try and
toxic.
bring him down.
yeah.
He's sharing
But,
his
you
swag
know,
with
I
us.
forgive
The
you.
music cut out after you were like, this is toxic. The music just cut out on my end.
And if you're holding yourself back because you're telling yourself that you're bad and you're not confident in what you're doing, I think sometimes you do need to just like slap yourself a little bit and be like, no, actually, I am good, even if you don't believe it.
Mm.
Because if you tell yourself that, it's gonna help. Like that's gonna help you build that confidence. And I think that's like a little bit of doing that, a little bit of like doing what Rania was talking about, looking at like external, the validation that you get from other people, and also being able to compare yourself to other like, especially, well, I think it's like other professionals in that field if you're looking to be a professional, or even if you're not, and other like hobbyists in that field and normal people too. I think like all of this is in moderation. That again, like don't just compare yourself to other people to try and build your own confidence. But I think
Yeah.
it can be really important. Like sometimes you might think that what you're doing isn't enough, and then you look at some of the things that some professionals in the field are doing, and you go,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. That's something you might not realize is actually a specialist skill you have. You might not realize that's a specialist skill because it's just whatever community you're in or whatever circumstances you work in. I was surprised thinking back to the songwriting camp that I've just been to. That was my first time doing any kind of pro songwriting camp. I was surprised that actually I thought that I would have the sort of fewest releases under my belt. I was expecting everybody to be like songwriter, producer, top liner, lyricist, like to have all of those skills and to be like super versatile with every genre they can do. And it's not at all any shade to anyone, because I think it's also
Girls
important to be able to
bragging.
be like specialists.
No.
But like
Flexing on
you
everyone.
can build up this image in your head of what other professionals are like, or even like what lay people are like. That you think, oh, everyone can like write lyrics, everybody can come up with a melody, everybody could do like, they could make a basic instrumental, and like the same thing with art, anyone can draw any like, and you find out only by actually seeing what people can do and where they, how they're responding to you, that they think what you're doing is really impressive. That can help as well to really like assess yourself against other people, because it might be that you're too stuck in your own bubble to realize actually
Touch
what you've got
grass.
going for you. Yeah. Touch grass and communicate.
Yeah, with balloons.
That's the TLDR of this.
There wasn't any communication in that in any of that advice actually. I think that was the first time you don't need to be able to
Yo.
communicate to have confidence.
Next question.
Next question, and you've already got it, so go ahead.
And do you have something that helps you as a producer when someone brings an idea to you?
Ooh.
So I imagine that this is like, do you have like certain
She has my
marks?
opinions.
Well,
I sort of go through like my general kind of like the things I tend to do when I'm starting out a commission, when I'm doing that kind of brainstorming stage. And I hope I'm kind of interpreting the question right then. So like a lot of the stuff I'm thinking about, like VTubers specifically. So I think if I'm running for a VTuber specifically, because I think so much of like original songs of VTubers tend to be about like their imagery, their themes, and like showcasing them as vocalists and as like somebody interesting to check out as well. You know, you want people to like a song should be an advert for them. Essentially, that's what I think. And when I've come across VTubers that I've really liked, often it's been because I've come across their original song, and that's given me a glimpse of like they're really talented, and also like I really like the kind of world and themes they're crafting here. Like it's an interesting, that seems to fit them really well, and I want to find out more about them. What I ask them for in my form when I'm doing commissions is, can you give me at least one song reference, or if possible, like a playlist or 2 or 3 songs or anything like that is even more helpful, because then you can sort of see where the connecting themes are between the songs that they're sending. So like for the sound of it, you want the reference songs. Can you tell me what you want the lyrics to be about generally? And that can be like kind of, sometimes it can just be, I just want it to be a vague theme and be very vibes based, and sometimes people want like more kind of narrative based stories because they have a really extensive lore. And then like anything, like, can you send me your VTuber design? Can you send me just any information about you, your lore, just your general kind of aesthetic, and anything about you? Like sometimes I ask, like, are there any kind of inside jokes that you have on your stream? Is there, like any little details that it might be fun to work off of? Yeah, so like that's the information that I would generally ask for. Often the thing I start out with, and it depends how you work, because there's no one right way to start a song, but for me it tends to be that I have the kind of top line and lyrics for like 1 or 2 lines, usually of the chorus. Like the hooky bit is usually what comes to me first as like complete top line and lyrics together, and then I build around that. So I know that's how my brain tends to work, and that's usually what I'm aiming for, like when I'm trying to brainstorm. So for me, I usually start out with like, I'll look at the theme. So like if someone's ocean themed, for example, can I look at glossaries of like maritime, like ship terminology, that kind of thing. Just looking at all these different words, sometimes a concept can come from that. A word can look really cool and you think that would make a really cool title. And then you've got the title, and then you're thinking like, right, what's the rhythm in that title? Can that be turned into the hook then? And then you've got a top line, and you build around that. So like that can often be a thing. Looking at their design often even helps me a lot, because I'm legally blind, for those that do not know. But I'm legally blind. So when folks send me their VTuber designs, often I'm like, I ask for like a kind of visual description, and even being an artist like is able to kind of do that, and often see like there'll be a lot of thought put into people's VTuber designs. So like I want to try and jump off that, and sometimes it might be something really small. Like somebody I worked with recently had constellations on their design, and they were particular constellations it looked like, and that was important to their lore. Like it all kind of tied in together. So I was looking at like, what's the mythology behind those constellations, where are they in the world, and like how can you link with that? And sometimes that can be the word you find, that can be like the concept. My process is just like look at everything, trying to find every associated word, glossaries, thesauruses, everything. Just like go into a ton of research, look at like folklore to do with things. There's so much.
How does a producer / songwriter tell or show the singer how to sing their song, both pitch and timing, if there's no existing vocal version? Especially if a singer can't really read music or only has limited ability to.
They both cringed. It's so fun.
No, I was
Felix
expecting worse.
Byron.
That's racist. Only
I
people
liked
black. I
it.
see how it is.
You too.
I think, well, hopefully
can
this one
again.
should be quicker, because For me, I use synthesizer V. So I use synthesized vocals. I don't know that I think a lot of people tend to use like MIDI synths, as in like non-vocal synths. In the community, that's what I've seen like anecdotally. Is a lot of people will use synths to just give you the melody line and then give you the lyrics. I really think a lot of more like personally, I love Synth-V. I think it's really good. There are other synthesized vocal softwares that you can use as well, but I think that if you are serious about writing for vocalists, that you should really use a vocal synth program of some kind. One, because I think it's important to be able to try and match their vocal color and sort of, I mean, like range isn't as important when you've got a synth vocal, but like some people I know, especially in like the more mainstream music industry, people will use like demo vocals, and sometimes, you know, like you will get people with completely different ranges. Like you might get a tenor doing demo vocals for a song that you want to pitch to a mezzo soprano or a soprano, like, and I don't think that's good practice. Like I think synth vocals are a really good happy medium because you can accommodate any range. You can try and match their vocal color, and I think for a lot of vocalists that's kind of important as well, because it gives them like an idea of what you like. I think it's important to try and match people's vocal color from your perspective as well, because if you're writing for somebody who has a really light, high-pitched voice, then preferably, like there are some exceptions, but usually you want to then try and make the instrumental thicker in your lows, right? You want to try and balance them out and carve out a space for where their voice should go. Like I think you find this, like I see this a lot in like the sort of utaide space, that you can like really popular songs, sometimes they don't sound quite right when you've got people who have really extreme contrasting voices from what the original is, because that instrumental was made to have like Miku on like this like really high-pitched thin sounding voice, and that's where the frequencies have been cut out for her. And if you're doing that as a really heavy toned bass, that like the instrumental is going to eat you up. So I think that's important from the writing process for you to be able to hear like where that voice should sit in terms of its color. And also with a synth voice, you should be able to tweak the parameters. So like if you know, again, it's like doing the research on the vocalist. If they tend to have a really breathy delivery, if they're not very power centric, you shouldn't be thinking of like writing a song for them that is going to be like powered by their power, you know what I mean? Like, because the energy of some songs is from the vocalist's energy, right? You shouldn't be writing a song that's relying on them being powerful if you know that actually that's not really within their wheelhouse. And so you set the synth voice to be on the breathy setting. And you can try and guide a vocalist in that way as well. If you have a particular line that you know, right, they're quite breathy normally, but I really, really want them to be powerful, like as powerful as they can be for this line, then you tweak the parameters for that line in the synth voice so that that bit is powerful. And then you can point that out to the vocalist and say, look, I want this bit to be powerful. And it's easier for them to hear what they're aiming for than it would be if you just gave them a synth instrument doing that. It's also easier, I find, like especially for inexperienced vocalists, like sometimes we do kind of like like in our sort of friends circle, we've converted a bunch of people who are like first time vocalists to be first time utaides. Like, and when we're doing range tests, some people can really struggle when you just have the piano note playing, but when one of us sings that note, they are able to match it. And I think,
Yeah.
like, again, especially when you're thinking that a lot of people who, you know, in my case, a lot of people that commission me aren't terribly experienced vocalists, that I want to try and give them every chance to succeed, and that are gonna find it easier to try and match the pitch of a vocal as opposed to a synth, and it also gives them an idea of how to pronounce the lyrics. And sometimes you want the lyrics to be pronounced in a particular way too.
Yeah.
Like I just think every point is there to like please use a vocal synth. Like if you are serious, if you're charging people money to do original songs, I really think you should use a vocal synth. Learn how to do it. I think like I don't think there's any excuse for it. Like to not do it at this point. I don't see any plus sides to not doing it. I'm gonna die on this hill. So yeah, that is how I do it. I always tell people that you don't have to exactly match what the synth voice is doing, and particularly sometimes you might want them to do like ad-libs, and you want to see what they're going to do with their own voice as well. You can research all you want, but people might surprise you, and you can get really beautiful moments doing that. And also, the other thing to using, like, my last point about using synth vocals is if you have the synth vocal there, you can use that, like, if you become adept enough with something like Symphy or whatever vocal program you're using, you can use that as doubles and harmonies. You can support that vocalist. If they don't give you the powerful delivery that you want, if they don't give you the breathy delivery you want, you can make that yourself. You can add all those layers. You can enhance them and really help them. Just get a synth vocal. Please get a synth vocal.
So, what is the optimal amount of input someone commissioning a song should give? Can you be really vague? Like, well, I like this genre, I can sing this range, and I want it to be about my pet cat, for example. Or should you come in with like a BPM or examples of songs you want it to be like, and pre-written lines of lyric ideas and what instruments you want, etc., etc.
I just want to say, it didn't say my pet cat, and then you added that.
He's freestyling. For me specifically, the TLDR is that I am happy to work with any level of information that you want to send me. I like more information. Not, I'm not necessarily bothered about like the BPM. Well, it's not that I'm not bothered about it, but like if you have a concrete sort of, I want this BPM, I want these exact instruments, like I'm happy to try and bear that in mind. But sometimes what seems best for the song and what's going to work for your voice, from my experience, I might tweak things. But I try and offer the package that I do in this kind of one-size-fits-all way because I want to meet people whether they have literally zero musical knowledge and they can't even tell me what genre they want, and they just know they want a song that makes them feel this way. Or whether somebody has like lyric and top line ideas and 20 billion references and they know exactly what they want. Like I try and accommodate people wherever they're coming at me from. And I'm always just happy to talk about it as well. If it's, if you're looking to commission me in particular, then I'm always happy to chat about like, what do you have? What do you want? Like, can we make that work? Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Because I definitely had a specific idea of what I wanted, and I tried as best as I could to kind of give you references that were like exactly what I want. Working with our team, I was the only one that had like extensive vocal experience, and you made it very, very much easier for everyone in our group. And I think that's really important when you're working in such a diverse environment. Not every creative you're gonna come across is a musician, but they might want to make music. You make good music, but I think you make music accessible to people, and that's like a really beautiful thing.
Oh, that's nice.
Music for the world.
I like that as accessible as a tagline. That's very appropriate.
Yeah,
I
true.
Love accessibility.
Accessibility. Her eyes. Talk to Shira about accessibility. Like, no one has anything else to add, dude. I haven't eaten. I ate earlier, but I'm so hungry. Like, I have to go. The choice is either like I make a cheese sandwich or a pizza.
She's being racist against me. Chat, can we?
I think you just need to come to accept this now. We've had a
Don't
lot of
take his
racist incidents
side!
over this.
He would betray you in an instant.
Yeah, take my side.
He would
because
sell
correct.
you. He would sell you for
Because
one
I'm
corn chip.
correct.
He would sell you for
I'm correct.
one corn chip.
Not if I
No.
don't sell him for one corn chip
Whoa,
first. Oh,
but
God.
he's going to betrayal, double crossed. I will. Anyway. Thank you so much everyone for the stream. It was really, really fun. Maybe we'll come back. We'll have another topic. Maybe we'll ask Houdini what's wrong with him. I don't know.
That's gonna be a very
Submit
long
A therapy session. Right
Submit
here.
your questions. What is
For
wrong
you.
with an idiot? Ask him invasive personal questions to be. No, don't do that.
I might answer them unironically.
I'm scared.
Wow.
I can't trust you.
Yeah, true.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to the stream today. Thank you to our guest, another Shiro.
Thank you for having me. I hope it was useful for people. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you to Dinier. I guess.
Oh yeah, I guess.
A
Yeah,
reluctant thank you to Radia.
I will not be back.
He totally will. He
Alright.
totally
You don't
will.
get a choice.
Yeah, he's gonna come back kicking and screaming. Thank you guys. Thank you for the stream. Have a good morning, evening, noon, night, whatever time it is you are. Me and Drunkbus use the same outro now, by the way. He always says that. I'm sure he took it from me. Anyway, see ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.